What do you think are the common mistakes that people make in their Excel spreadsheets? What do you have the most trouble with normally?
Probably not enough training.
Hi everyone, my name is Anton Porteous from Blank Page, and today I'm going to chat about 3 features in Excel that I think are very important and that you should try and incorporate into your workflow.
Do you guys use Excel at all at work?
Very late.
A little bit. What do you think are the main problems in files? Do you have other people doing files for you? What are the mistakes you often make in Excel?
I don't know. I just put stuff in a table and save it. We don't use it very.
Not very much?
No, we
No
don't
formulas
do
or
pivot
functions or
tables.
pivot tables?
No idea.
No idea?
Yeah.
Alright, so the first thing for today I'm going to chat about is formatting. Now I know that by now you know how to make stuff bold and italic and add borders and stuff like that. I'm not talking about that type of formatting. I'm talking about the way that Excel displays numbers. In fact, it's very important to realize whether something is number or text. And it isn't always that obvious. There's only ever going to be 3 things you're going to come across in an Excel spreadsheet, right? Text, numbers, formulas or functions. Now, do we also know which is which? It's actually very important to be able to identify what is text and what is a number. And then from that, once you know what it is, you can then go and build the appropriate formula or function to cater for that. Now have a look here. I've got a little spreadsheet open and you can see that I've got a few things typed in, and just by the look of it, can you sort of tell what is what? Can you tell me what is text and what is a number? Now the first one I think is pretty obvious. That seems to be text. Yep. What about that date over here? Text or a number? That one over there? Looks like a date. These 2 words, Tuesday. Now, what I want you to be aware of from the very start is the alignment of objects in the worksheets. So text by default is aligned on the left-hand side over here. You can see that item 1, that seems like a date, but it's not. And the word Tuesday over there. All aligned on the left edge of the cell. So they are text. I haven't chosen any particular alignment. These are the default alignment choices. Look at the top over here. None of them are actually highlighted in a bold or highlighted color, so there's no alignment chosen. These are the default alignment choices that Excel assigns to these 2 different things, text or numbers. Whereas the dates over here, that's going to be a number because it's aligned on the right hand side over there, and so is this word Tuesday as well, aligned on the right hand side, so they're actually both numbers. Alright, now a good way to see what Excel sees, in fact you're not quite sure, is at the top under your formulas tab. You can go and choose show formulas from there. And what that does actually shows you a background view of what Excel sees. So it strips all the numbers of their formatting, it removes dollar signs and percent symbols, and it shows you all the actual background formulas. So toggle that on. Let's have a look. So there's the item 1. There is that date we saw. So a date is actually a value from the 1st of Jan 1900, when time started in Excel land. And that's just text. Here's that word Tuesday we had in there. And if I scroll across, there's the other word Tuesday, just normal text. Yeah, it does make the columns a bit wider as well. I'll turn that off for now. So even though that is a date, when you type a date into a cell, what Excel does actually applies the date format there by default. And so if you think, right, let's replace a date with a different number, maybe type a 34 over it and press enter, you might expect to get a 34, but that cell is pre-formatted as a date because the date was typed in there. You see over here, it still says date over there. And if I just press enter now, it's the 3rd of Jan 1900, the 34th day from when time started in Excel land. Now, that's very important to realize, and of course, what is what, text or a number. This word Tuesday over here actually is a date. See, at the top, it's actually a date. Underneath that, it's just been formatted to look like a word, or just a word aspect of the date is what is visible right now. All right, so something for you to be very aware of from the very start when you use Excel is, am I typing in a number or am I typing in text? Because it'll affect all future formulas, all functions, and the way they reference that cell, of course, all depends on what is inside that cell.
You use Excel, right?
Yep.
As a professional every day?
Yeah.
And how well do you think you know Excel? I mean, do you know formulas, functions?
Yeah.
A little bit?
A little bit. The easy ones.
Do you know what a table is?
A table.
Yeah, in Excel.
Not particularly.
Haven't used tables yet before?
Well, I don't know. I don't think so.
The second thing for today, so many people get wrong all the time, and that's data. You see, data structure is very, very important. Excel expects rows and columns of information. Never have blank rows or blank columns in your data. You can have a few blank cells here and there, but ideally you want all to be one nice solid structure. Now if you look over here, I do have a blank row there, row 2, but that just separates the heading from the actual data. Another big mistake people make is they often have numerous rows for headings, like headings and subheadings and sub-subheadings, and then the data. Excel will get confused with that. So always have just one row of column headings, they're called your fields as well, and from that it becomes easy to sort and filter and summarize that data. So structure, very important. Okay, but the second thing I really want to talk about today is tables. Now, tables should be part of your workflow from the very beginning if you have lots of data in there. Because the question is, when you have a formula or a function or a pivot table report that refers to this data, what happens if in the future we're going to add more records? At the bottom of my scroll down to my sheet over here, if I add a new person at the bottom here, let's say add Blake in there, and I'm just going to copy all of his stuff down. I'm just going to press Control D to copy that all down into my cursor. Now my data was extended, so the problem you would have if anything else referenced that data is that nothing would actually update to incorporate that extra row that you've added at the bottom of that data set. So long-term maintenance, hell, right? You have to go back to all your formulas, all your functions, and double check everything, make sure everything is going to reference that extra row for Blake. But tables eliminate that process. Tables eliminate long-term maintenance for many, many worksheets. So if you can in fact incorporate a table in your data, you're already one step ahead of making your reporting much faster, quicker, and more reliable as well. So to make a table, simply click inside the data. At the top, just choose Insert and choose Table. My table has headers. That is a reference to the actual column headings at the top over here. And yep, it does. So just click on OK. Good, and there we go. So it's actually made a table from that. And at the very top are your table tools. The Design tab is the default tab over there. There's a bunch of pre-formatted choices to choose from over there. Make it look all pretty and everything. On the far left is the table's name. Mine is called Table 2 or Table 1, however many tables you have. And here's a bit of a tip. What I normally do with my table names, anything I name in Excel, is I always start the name with a little acronym to help me identify what that thing is. So if it's a table, I put in TBL for table in front of the name. So TBL data, for instance. Now, this table can be referenced throughout the entire workbook by its name. And here's what makes tables so amazing. If I go and add a new record at the bottom of this table, let's add Blake, or let's do Daniels. Don't want him to feel left out. Look what the table did. It actually extended itself to incorporate that extra row straight away. So there's no mention of a reference. There's no A4 to F118 or whatever. It is all a data reference by name. So as a name, of course, grows, whatever refers to it will grow with it. In this case, all the references. So that's copied down, of course. The table includes that straight away. Same for columns. If I give them a bonus column over here, see my table again, extended to the right-hand side to include that heading bonus. And I'm just going to do a simple formula here, so equals. Now be careful here. If you click on a cell in a table, it's going to build a table reference, which is fine. But the thing is, there are quite a few different Excel versions. There's 03, good old days, there's 07, and they actually all will build different ways or structures in the formula to reference table values. So to make sure that your formulas and your worksheets are compatible with older versions, for now I suggest that just do it the good old way. It still works just the same. So G4 times 15% bonus, not bad. Alright, so see what that did? The table straight away did every row for me. And a quick way to highlight that, because normally you have to go all the way down, use keyboard shortcuts and go up and down like that. This is a waste of time. With a table, you just hover slightly above the column heading. And if I click once, highlights all the data in that column. And I can apply a simple format. I'm going to use currency, so do Control-Shift-4 is a quick keyboard command for currency. There we go. Now, from that table, to use that table feature in your reports, once it's a table, I can simply go to something like, maybe I want to do a pivot table. Insert, pivot table, and watch what it does. It now will reference that data by name, TBL data in there. So I know now if I get new data next month or next week, whatever, I replace the data in my table, and the pivot table just incorporates all the data, whether it's less or more. There's anything to go back later on and adjust the references for my pivot tables or my formulas or functions.
Good coffee, this spot. Just wish they stirred the sugar in this thing. Do you use Excel much at all?
I used to use it a lot more. Now my staff use it.
Do you use it at all?
I use it a bit, but I'm not that good at it anymore.
Do you know what a pivot table is?
Yeah.
And have you used tables in Excel before?
Yeah.
Formulas, functions, you okay with that type of stuff?
Yeah. I'm not good on macros.
I've got a macros, that's the one weakness, is it to automate stuff.
Yeah. I've got other people that are better than that at me than I am.
Okay, no worries. Thank you very much for your time.
The third feature that you should have a look at, and this one is a bit tricky to show you because it's quite a complex topic, but I think everybody that uses Excel on a daily basis would benefit from VBA for Excel. Visual Basic for Applications. And yeah, VBA is programming, all right? It's not an easy thing to learn. It takes time to master it. It takes time to be good at it. But give yourself a year or so, and if you've used it on a regular basis, you'll be surprised at how much time you could save if you just automate a few of your spreadsheets. Think about any repetitive things you do on a daily basis or even a weekly basis. Maybe you got to fix data all the time, or you get a report from an external data source and you have to go through all the data all the time and remove rows, remove columns, add VLOOKUPs or whatever in there, and it's always a manual process. Or you got to compare worksheets. Maybe someone has changed something over here, what did they change over there, and this is a manual process to do that. Now, imagine taking all those repetitive tasks and putting them as a macro and hit a button next time and does all the work for you. I got a client who sends out a report to numerous managers, over 100 of them, all over the world. And the report comes back as individual Excel spreadsheets. And they've all added their own little 2 cents to it, comments here and there, value changes, name changes. And someone's got to go sit down with all of those files and figure out what they've modified or changed. It takes them over a week to do that. That's a massive waste of time. So what we did instead is we automated it so that as the files come in, they click on a button, it will fetch the file and compare the data and give them little comments and tips and stuff as to what has been changed. So it's a massive time saver. And any file in Excel can be automated to do whatever you want it to do. So if you can do it by hand with your mouse or your keyboard or any sort of manual workaround for it, there's always a way to automate something. So to give you an idea what a macro looks like, now there's 2 ways to create macros or code. You can record a macro. That's often a good way to, if you're new to it and you want to learn how to do it, you can record the code, look at it and tweak it a bit, or type code by hand from scratch. Now, let's say for instance here that I want to clean up my data. I have a spreadsheet here with some code already written. I'll show you what it looks like. At the top is my developer tab, and I'm going to open my Visual Basic Editor, or press Alt F11. And so here it is. And when you record a macro, it ends up in a module. I'll just open module 1 over there. Drag it across a bit. So here's a simple little macro. A macro starts with the word sub. Let's zoom in a bit. Starts with the word sub, and then ends with the words end sub. And what a macro does is it just goes line by line and executes each line one at a time. So each line really is an individual command for the code to run. I have the little counter here. That's simply counting how many lines are being deleted. And what I want this to do every time a macro runs is I want it to delete every time it finds the word Honda. Okay, so it's going to start in B4. It's my starting point. And this is a little loop called the for loop over here. And what the for loop does is it loops a certain set number of iterations. So in this case, it's just doing a count of column B. So it counts how many records I have in column B, and that'll determine how many times the loop runs down that column. Okay, so it says if the active cell, because that's looping down, the value is Honda, then delete that row and add 1 to my counter. Okay, so it just does that for how many things are in column B. And at the very end, it goes back to A1 and gives me a little message. So let's just test this out and show what it looks like. So you can see here, there's a few Hondas over there in my data. So what I don't want to do is every day, every week, I'm going to take it all out manually. So a little macro. And to show how easy this is, I just draw a little button on my spreadsheet. I'm just going to go to insert. I'm just going to insert a shape here. Maybe a bit of a rectangle. Let's draw it over there. And type in delete Honda. That's just some text in a shape. That shape doesn't actually do anything just yet. It's just a shape right now. But I can right click on that and choose assign macro. So when I assign macro, as if another button is clicked, I'll run this particular macro. And I'm going to assign my delete Honda macro to that one. Okay, so when it's clicked, it's going to run through this code. Let's see how fast it is. Okay, done. 19 Hondas deleted. So what could have taken me a few minutes now took a split second. Imagine something could take you a week to do and could save you hours and hours and even days of processing with macros. Thank you all for your time. I hope you learned something from this. If you want to, you can subscribe at the very bottom over here. I'll be posting more videos as we go along. And till next time, I'm Anton from Blank Page. If you have any questions, welcome to connect through Facebook, through Twitter, or the website. Go to blankpage.net.au. See you all next time.